All right, hello everyone. This is another video in the series where I'm going through all of the big dual enrollment assignments and kind of walking you through them. Uh, the last one that we did was about the Paint app, which you can see on the screen right here. This video is going to be making the exact same app, but we're going to be using a little bit of different coding, different aspects like that. So again, there's no right or wrong way. It depends on what you as a teacher want to do and have your students focus on, and when you give them this project. Um, I think I personally, I like working with the objects in classes like we're about to do. But if your students are either just get it right away or they're having um, a lot of trouble, you may want to maybe adjust your focus in other places. You can do it like we did last time, where it's mostly just conditionals and basic shapes. Uh, with that being said, again, this is a course for um, the teachers of the programming digital media and similar courses. So if you're not a teacher for this is probably not the video for you. I would recommend checking out some of the other ones on my channel or just YouTube as a whole. With that being said, let's just jump right into it. The very first thing I'm going to do is save, because I never actually saved in the last video, and then duplicate this. So this is just going to be real simple, paint app 2. Just so I can definitely tell them apart and not put the wrong ones on the wrong videos. So I'm going to be getting rid of a lot of what we have right now. I'll keep that. So I'll keep this in the setup. So we'll keep the setup the same size and color. We'll keep the same default value. And we'll keep the instruction box here at the bottom. Um, no reason to just redo that. It's going to be the same. I am going to get rid of all of this. All right. And there we go. And I'll keep the colors and everything up here. So the very first thing I'm going to do is make a new class of color boxes. So when we're making a class, again, we're just going to set up a few things. The first is the constructor method, and that's important. You know, it's got the little indicator. Hey, this is important. This is a JavaScript thing. Um, so let's see. We need to have the let's see what we want to have for our colors. We want to be able to set the um, y. We want to have the y value, the and the color. Really, this is really the only important things, because they're all going to be the same size and they're all going to be lined up. So we don't need to customize those aspects. This dot y is going to be equal to whatever we give it for y, and this dot color is going to be equal to whatever we give it for color, like so. How I want them to appear on the screen, I want them to appear, we'll say, uh, push, pop. Here, I want them to, we're going to set the fill to be this dot color. And then we're going to draw it as a rectangle at position 0, comma, y. And we'll make it 50 by 50. So we've got all of that right there. Um, that's relatively straightforward. I'm gonna add another uh, thing right here. We will say if this dot color uh, is equal to white, we'll give it a stroke. Else, no stroke. All right, so again, this is serving as a template for all of our squares. So again, we want the white one to have the outline. We want all the other ones to not. and they're gonna show up like that. There's gonna be for now, let's just test it to make sure we can see them, but we aren't done here, so I'm just gonna wrap up this section by mouse click. We'll come back to this method in a moment, but I'm gonna go back up here to setup, and like before, we can do a for loop, and we can say in our loop that let I equals 0. I is going to be, we'll run this for as long as I is less than colors dot length I plus plus. All right, and what we're going to do, let's make another one called, well, no, we don't have to do it. We should just be able to, let new box equal a new color box. That's what I called it, right? Color box. It's a class. It's a capital C. And then what we're going to give it, let's see, the Y. So that'll be I times 50. And the color was the second. Colors I. So I'm just going to run this and see what we get. I'm going to save it first just in case something breaks. Boom. Okay, no errors. Yeah, so that's a good sign. We just don't see them yet. So when we get into the draw function, oh, wait. Well, actually, no, because we're not redrawing the background, that won't be as much of an issue. New box dot appear. What did I come back? Error. Why it's not defined? What? Oh. Yeah, that I goofed. This should be this dot y down here in the rectangle. There we are. Now we can see him. Boom. There we are. So, first step is done. We have a few other options. So I'm going to start with the mouse click right here, but there's a few other things we're going to have to add just to wrap this up. So when we click on a square, we want something to happen. So I'm going to say if mouse is pressed, we have to basically determine what the size of the squares are, a lot like we did last time with the nested conditional statements, in order to determine what's happening. If mouse is pressed, if we want to have the mouse inside of the borders, so actually I'm gonna, if let's see, mouse x is greater than 0 and mouse x is less than or equal to 50. That's the first part. Cool. So next we'll have if mouse y is we'll say if it's greater than this dot y and mouse y is less than or equal to this dot y plus 50, then current color gets assigned this dot color. Boom. So again, just to break down what we've done here is that very large repetitive statement that we had in the last video. We've kind of reduced it down to its bare essence because again, it's a template that'll be applied to all of these. So if we click the mouse, we're going to see is the mouse within the boundaries of the rectangle. And in fact, you could set this to just be a single conditional statement if you wanted. but maybe I wanted to have a little more flexibility. So that's partly why I broke it out. The other part is just so I could keep my X's and Y's separate and just be a little bit easier to manage. Inside of that, we're going to set the current color variable to match whatever this dot color is. So if I run that, we got nothing yet. So let's go back to the draw function so we can draw our line. I shouldn't have erased that part because that was exactly the same. Or not fill. Stroke. Current color. I can't type. And line. There's no right or wrong order for typing these as long as you have the mouse X and mouse Y next first and then P mouse and X and Y after that or vice versa just to make sure everything gets drawn correctly. So we're doing all that great, but we've got a few issues. One, we also need to be like if mouse is pressed, because I don't want to see that all the time. We'll have that right there. But we get that. But if we click on the box, nothing is happening. So we need to check each box to see if it's being clicked on. We can't just say new box dot mouse click up at the beginning because that's only going to check it one time. Also, we don't have the names for all these boxes. Or basically, we make the box and move on to the next one. That delete. We can't just say new box because that will only check the last one that was made. So, um, there's a few things we can do. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna say let boxes be an empty array, and we can say new box dot or not new box. We'll say boxes dot push. Basically, this will just add it to another empty array that's going to contain all of the boxes. So what we can do now is go into our draw function. We should just be able to say boxes dot for each. And if I'm remembering this right, because I'm also doing this off the top of my head, we should just be able to. Can we do it like this? No, I don't think we can. Each. Make a function. I know I've got that wrong. Yeah. Well, we're gonna test this. I've not mouse pressed. Mouse click. Will this work? Because I am testing this. Yeah, that's what I figured. I messed up the arrow function. So let's just do a quick little search. Because I don't do these a ton, and I don't feel like finding where we've got that. Arrow functions. right, you know what? Rather than work it all out, the JavaScript arrays for each. Basically, we want to just go through um, everything here and go through the whole thing. So I'm just gonna a little boxes dot and then change it for each element. Da, da, da. And will you work? Something has broken. So it doesn't like my mouse click. Yeah, it's getting angry at that. So what did I do last time? I'm trying to remember because I'm also doing this on the fly without any kind of scripting. So we want to go through all of our boxes and see what the color is. We have to check that every frame. So we have to refer to it in the draw function, but we didn't give them a unique name right here because they're declared in the loop. So we added them to boxes. So we have to go through each of them. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it only works with the last one made. So, why didn't you work? Let's just pull up the one that I've made before my sketches, because I don't have time to do all this. Paint app with objects. Okay. So on click as if is basically the same thing. Did things a little bit different. Okay, then it is a separate function. Okay. Well, that works too. Okay. So, probably should study more before doing these videos, but I don't feel like re-recording it. So basically, what I've done separately is a little roundabout way, but again, we're running into some orders. So basically, I made a function that's going to change the colors. I'm going to call it item is what that array is going to be, and we'll say item dot what did I call it? Mouse click. Yeah, item dot mouse click. So now instead of say boxes for each, and what we'll do is color change. black, blue, green, and red. And then white. We've got that there. But you'll notice there's still some options of, ew, we can draw in the boxes. Maybe we don't want that. I'm going to tell you we don't want that. So I'm just going to add another thing. If mouse is pressed, cool. If mouse X is greater than 51, then we will draw it. Tidy that up. And now we've got the exact same thing functionally that we had before. Just to kind of go through the differences. And we can say let here and then get rid of this because that's going to bug me. Okay. So again, we've got the same array there. We're setting the color. We've got a class of boxes. And again, there's several ways you could set this up. It depends on what you want to or don't want to control, how you want to set it up. But basically, we just want to, basically, we need to set the Y parameter and the color of the box in this instance. And we're just going to feed that into the arguments when we make that. We want it to appear as a that specific color. We have to set that first. This is just determining the stroke, and then it just appears a rectangle that's this size with this position. Everything else is set up right there. And then when we click the mouse, we want to see a few different things happening here. I did this a little bit redundantly. We really don't even need the if mouse is pressed here. So actually I could remove that and we could go up to boom. If mouse is pressed. We don't need that. We can just move this into here. That's a slightly better way to go about it, because no matter what, we're going to check and see if the mouse is in those locations. Or even we could just move this to, so if it's there, if, don't need the, so if the mouse is pressed, we're going to do some stuff. If it's here, we're going, if it's less than, between 0 and 50, then we're going to change the color based off of where the mouse is located. If it's larger than that, then we're going to draw the line. So we should see, here's a blue line, but they stop here. So you got this whole area that I'll kind of highlight so we can see the negative area of, that you could fill up with more colors. There we go. I'm getting distracted more and more now. Oh, what broke? Just one too many. There we go. Okay. So we have that right there. So again, when we click on it, we see that. That doesn't help me. There's one too many here. We're gonna find out when it gets angry at me. Nope, nothing. Okay, just an extra bracket there. Okay, so to finish wrapping this up, so I'm no longer being distracted at 12:11 in the morning. So everything else is pretty much the same. We make it. What we have to do that's a little different is we have to add it to another array. And this is something that when we get into sprites, super easy to deal with this. It's less of a pain, but we add it to an array and we tell it to appear. We can do this in setup because, again, we're only drawing it one time and setting it on a static background, and then we can draw whatever. If you want any of this to change and update, you have to move some of this to draw. So now, in draw, we're just checking, is the mouse pressed? Because if so, we're going to do some things. If it is, we're going to, for each item for each element in the boxes array, we are going to run the color change function using that item as an argument. So basically, it'll fill in. So okay, for the red box, whatever that name is in the computer name, we're gonna do the mouse click method, which is again, is it within the boundaries of the box, uh, and then change current color to match whatever the color of the box is. And that's it. It's relatively straightforward. Again, if I had looked at my other code before I started recording this, then we would have had less bugs. But it's relatively straightforward. These are the main things I look for when I grade this. So again, do we have the boxes that appear? Do they, do the colors work? Like, do they match up? And usually, when I'm not looking at the code and just looking at the is it functional part, I'll kind of click and drag like so and see that, okay, these are all matching in color, and the white functions as an eraser. Um, it's all relatively straightforward. So that's going to wrap it up for me on this video. The next one you'll see is about the bug squish assignment. And that's probably the most complicated one outside of the final project. It definitely has the most parts to it. So stay tuned, and that will be the next video. All right, I'll see you all the next time that I see you. Bye.